Good morning. Welcome to Lori Knapp Choice EVV webinar. I just want to remind everyone you will be muted throughout the webinar. If you have any questions, you can enter those in the Q&A, the question and answer chat. You should find that either at the lower part of your screen or the top, and we will monitor that chat for any questions you have throughout the webinar. We'll also have time at the end of the webinar for any questions. So once again, you will be muted. If you have any questions, just type those in the chat. We will also be recording this webinar, so if you want to watch it at a later time, it will be on the website later. And I just want to thank you for joining, and we'll get started. Okay, some of the training objectives for this webinar. We'll be going over the basics of EVV, what it is, its purpose, what data it collects. We'll review who's required to use EVV. We'll go over the employee and participant responsibilities. We'll provide an overview on how to use Care Time as well as Care Portal and provide tools for support. Some of the terms and definitions you'll hear throughout the webinar, the FEA, that's the fiscal employer agent that provides payroll and administrative support to individuals self-directing their home care. Participant is the care recipient or consumer, and participant hired worker or caregiver, that is the care provider. Care Time is the application used by Lori Knapp Choice to meet the electronic visit verification requirement. Telephony is an alternative option to submit timesheets for those without a mobile device. So if you're unable to use that Care Time, you would use the telephony using a landline. Live-in is a participant hired worker that lives with the participant according to DHS definition. Non-live-in is a participant hired worker that does not live with the participant and is required to use EVV. So what is EVV? Electronic visit verification is a system that uses technology to capture 6 key data points. All 6 key data points must be present in order to meet the requirements for EVV. So those are who receives the service, who provides the service, what service is provided, where the service is provided, the date of the service, and then the check-in and check-out times for the service. Whenever performing services that require EVV, workers can call or log into the Care Time mobile app or telephony. And that number for telephony is 1-888-574-5109. So some of the worker responsibilities would be accessing and reviewing EVV training material. We have that available on the Lori Knapp Choice website, and it has been updated recently. So I would encourage you to take a look at the website and go over that material. Some more of the responsibilities would be to clock in and clock out with Care Time or telephony for each shift. Communicate with Lori Knapp Choice and the participant when the participant hired worker needs to correct clock in or clock out times, or to report a power outage that lasts longer than 24 hours. So along with some of the worker responsibilities, they can ensure that they're compliant with EVV by clocking in at the start of the shift on the Care Time app or the telephony landline, making sure location services are turned on. So on the mobile app, you would want to have your location set to allow for those permissions. Use the correct and authorized activity codes. So this is something fairly new. Originally, the Care Time app would default to a service code. Going forward, the worker will need to enter that service code into the Care Time app when they clock in. So you'll want to be sure to enter the correct service code. Also, clocking out at the end of the shift. So whenever the shift starts, you clock in, and when the shift ends, you would clock out. And then also syncing shifts on the Care Time app. So you can see some images here. The smaller image shows how you would sync the shift. So you would select the two blue arrows that go in a circle, and then that larger image will show if the shift has been synced or not. So when you clock in or clock out, you can view the completed today jobs, and then you would want to watch for that check mark. If you see an exclamation, that means the shift has not synced. Either the internet reception is not as strong, um, or you don't have that connection that you need to sync the shift. So you just want to go to a place where you have stronger connection, and then you would select those little blue arrows that go in a circle to sync that shift. So an overview on how to use the CareTime app as a worker. This image shows the login screens. When you first download that app, you'll see this screen to log in. You'll need the agency code, which is 1588. This code is specific to Lori Knapp Choice. You'll also need the user or employee code. This code is specific to each caregiver. Lori Knapp Choice can provide this number to you. And then you'll also need your date of birth. So the clock in process is shown here. You will first select the client, and you should see that under either assigned jobs or jobs nearby. And then the next screen will show the participant's information. You'll see the clocked in, clocked out symbol, as well as some notes, which you can enter notes in there if you have anything that you want to just make note of for yourself or the participant. And then you would select clock in at the bottom. You'll have a pop-up that comes up that says, are you sure you want to clock in? You would select yes. If you are away from the participant's home, you will see this alert, and that's just alerting you that you're not able to capture the GPS needed for the clock in. This does not mean that you cannot clock in. It's just alerting you that that GPS information will not be included with your clock in. So you would be able to select OK. And then the next screen, you can choose location exception. And then the next screen, it will have a reason, and you'll be able to select from the drop down for the reason why you are away from the participant's residence. And then you would select save. And that will allow you to still clock in away from the participant's residence. So with the clock in process, after you selected, are you sure you wish to clock in? The next screen will have that activity code prompt. This is where you would enter the number that correlates with your service. So generally, like an example would be the S5125 supportive home care for Inclusa. That would be the number 2. But you always want to verify that you have the correct service code entered in there. So once you enter the number, you would select check. And then under that will appear the long description for your service. And if it's correct, you'll want to select save. The final screen will show all the information for your clock in. You'll be able to see the participant's information, the time and date of the clock in. And if you're away from the residence, it'll have that miles away. And then you'll want to watch for that check mark as well. Once again, if you see that exclamation, that means the shift has not synced. So you'll want to go to a place where you have stronger connection, or sometimes you might have to either turn on or off your Wi-Fi on your mobile device so that that shift will sync. So then with the clocking out process, on the main screen, you'll select the participant's information again, which will then bring you to the clock out screen. You'll click the clock out at the bottom, and then a pop-up will come saying, are you sure you wish to clock out? You'll select yes. If your care time is set up for the care plan tasks, you may have questions that come up on the next screens. You'll go through and answer those questions and select save. And then the final screen, we'll have that completed today where you can check if the shift has synced. The CareTime app will also request signatures by the client and employee. Each will sign and then you'll select save after the signatures. The CareTime app is also available in Spanish. If you need to select that other language, you would go into the menu by selecting the 3 bars in the upper corner, and then you can change the language. And this just gives an overview of what that looks like. So for the telephony option, the participant must register their landline phone number with Lori Knapp Choice as an authorized number for telephony to work. So you want to contact the EVV line and let them know of the landline phone number so we can get that entered in CareTime account. And then if the worker is submitting time using telephony, just be aware a participant can still approve timesheets on the Care Portal website, which we will go over later in the presentation. The telephony is a backup option for employees who are not able to use the CareTime mobile app to clock in and out. Employees can use the member or employee's phone and follow the steps below. So listed here to clock in, you would simply dial the number 1-888-574-5109. The employee would enter the employee code, and that's that same code that you have for the CareTime app, and then press pound. The employee would enter the activity code, and that, like an example, would be the 2 for supportive home care. The employee confirms the clock in by pressing 1. And for the clock out process, once again, dial the telephony number 1-888-574-5109. The employee would enter their employee code, which is once again the same number that you would use for that CareTime, and then press pound, and then the employee would confirm the clock out by pressing 1. The telephony system should replay the clock in and clock out time at the end. So just always be sure to wait for that at the end of the clock in and clock out. So on to the participant responsibilities. The participant is the worker's employer. They are responsible for making sure the workers utilize EVV when required. They can do this by ensuring the participant hired worker receives EVV training. They can ensure EVV check-in and check-out is completed by the workers at the beginning and end of each visit. They can review EVV information with the worker to reinforce requirement to use EVV. This could include verifying the worker's clock in and clock out times. On the Care Portal, on that website, you are able to review all this information as well, which makes it very easy to see the progress and if your worker has been using EVV correctly. Also, you'd want to communicate any landline numbers to Lori Knapp if you are using the telephony EVV system. Okay, so for the Care Portal website, this is the registration process. So when your worker is clocking in and clocking out, that information is sent to the Care Portal website where you're able to review and approve those timesheets. The registration process is pretty simple. You would just need to navigate to the Care Portal website. The link is on the Lori Knapp website as well. And then you would click register. Once you click register, you will see the image in the lower corner. It gives you the option to choose employee as a caretaker or consumer client. You would want to select the consumer client option and then select next. On the next screen, you would enter your email. You'll need to access your email separately from the browser that you are registering on so that you can enter the verification code. And then you would want to just follow those steps in the email where you can then set your password. Also, a reminder, your username will be your email address. Okay, so once you are registered for the Care Portal, This is the dashboard that you will see. When logging in, you'll see a list of modules available in the left-hand menu. The dashboard shows a summary of upcoming scheduled visits, recent activities, notifications, and notes written by your caregiver. So in the menu, if you select timesheets, you can see a list of the timesheets completed by your caregivers for the week. You can filter for a caregiver. So in the upper corner, you can see filter by name. That's where you would enter your caregiver's name if you have multiple caregivers, and then you can filter so you only see their timesheets. Also, under the column options, you can click expand, and then you would be able to select which column you'd like to add. So they're little toggles so that you can choose to customize what is shown. Also, you can view previous weeks or the following week. So those purple arrows under the add symbol that you see here in the red box, those you would just click on those arrows so it can take you back to previous weeks. You can view more details of a particular shift by clicking on the eye icon, and that is under the action column. You can download a timesheet by clicking the downward arrow in the top right, and that is at the end where you see add. Also, there is that add and plus symbol that you can select, and you would be able to add a new timesheet. So if there's a shift that was missed, your worker was unable to clock in, you can add that timesheet. I'm going to show a short clip on how to add a timesheet now. Okay, so this video is showing how to add a timesheet on the Care Portal website.
Steps for adding a timesheet. After logging into the Care Portal website, click on the Timesheets tab on the left side of the screen. In the top right corner, select the Add button. That's the one with the plus sign. Start by entering the employee's name. Next, click the calendar icon to set the start date and choose the correct month and day. Then, select the start time. Make sure to choose AM or PM. Now do the same for the end date. Click the calendar again and select the date you're adding. Then set the end time and choose AM or PM. From there, use the drop-down menus to select the correct activity code. Then select the reason code. If you'd like, you can add notes, but keep in mind these are optional and not monitored by Lori Knapp. Once everything looks good, click Add Time Card to save your entry. You'll then be brought back to the Timesheets tab. Here, you'll see a history of all your timesheets, including the one you just added. You have now successfully added a timesheet.
And this video is on the website as well. Okay, so for the Care Portal, if you need to approve timesheets, you'd want to be sure to approve all submitted timesheets on time to make sure that your worker is paid timely. At the bottom of each week's time card, you'll be able to see the authorized hours for the week, the total hours worked, the difference between the two, and then you would see that click here to e-sign box and the approve. To approve the hours, you would select that checkbox that says click here to e-sign and then click approve. If you are on a mobile device, just be aware the pop-up that should appear once you select approve may not appear unless you turn your screen. So if you're on a mobile device, you'd want to just be sure to turn that screen so you see that pop-up. I'll play the short clip that shows the steps on how to approve a timesheet now.
Steps for approving a timesheet. After logging into the Care Portal website, click on the Timesheets tab on the left side of the screen. If you need to view a previous pay period, click the arrow in the top right corner to move back through past dates. Review all of the shifts for the pay period you want to approve. Once you've double-checked everything, scroll down to the bottom of the page, click the box labeled "Click here to e-sign," then click Approve. A pop-up message will appear asking, "Are you sure you want to approve time cards for payroll?" Select Yes, Approve. Your shifts are now approved, and you'll see "Approved for Payroll" displayed next to each shift. You have successfully approved a timesheet.
And the screen just shows a little bit more in depth with the timesheets. Under the filter by name, there is a section that shows approval pending. So it will show if you have any timesheets that have not yet been approved. Lower on the screen, you can see the red box that is encircling the orange. They just look like orange dots just because the screen is so small, but it should be an exclamation in an orange circle. So if you see that, you would want to click on that exclamation to approve those shifts. So if a shift was already approved during a week and maybe you added another shift, uh, that would cause this to occur. So anytime a timesheet is approved and then a shift is added after the fact, you'll see the exclamation there because it's not yet approved. You would need to go in and approve it by clicking on that exclamation. Okay, so some care time troubleshooting. If you're experiencing difficulty with the app, you want to be sure to go over the login information. Be sure that you're entering the correct agency code, the correct user code, and the date of birth. When the app asks permission to share location, the worker must select yes for the app to use GPS to verify their location. Once again, location is one of the 6 federally required elements of EVV. If location is not provided, it is not EVV compliant. Also, if you select no to share that location, it may cause the app to not work correctly. So you want to be sure to select yes for the location. Service codes will now need to be selected to clock in. If you're authorized for more than one service code, you'll need to select the right activity code to clock in. You will need to clock in separately for each service provided. The participant or Lori Knapp Choice can provide the correct activity code that you should be using. You can also view the list of activity codes on the Lori Knapp website. Now, once again, going over syncing your shift. If the worker's care time app is not synced, the shift will not capture and that shift will not send to Care Portal. You may need to sync your visits if you entered them while offline or when your smartphone had poor connection quality. Just a reminder, you are able to use the CareTime app without Wi-Fi or data. So if you log in and you're at a place where you have internet connection, you would log into the app and then just leave that app open in the background. So once you get to the participant's residence and if they do not have Wi-Fi or your phone does not have good signal there, you would still be able to clock in and clock out, just leaving that app open in the background. And then when you get back to a place where you have good connection or Wi-Fi, you would open that app and sync that shift. So once again, the image just goes over that check mark that you should be looking for. It's good to get into the habit of scrolling to the bottom of the screen after you've clocked out and just making sure that check mark is there. So some frequently asked questions. What if I don't have a smartphone or tablet? The worker can use that telephony landline option. The participant would still approve timesheets using Care Portal. So if you are a participant and don't have a smartphone or tablet, um, some ways that you can view the worker's time that can be accessed on a computer. So any device that has an internet browser, you would be able to access that Care Portal. What if I do not have internet or mobile data access? So once again, the worker can use that telephony landline option, but the participant would still need internet or mobile data in order to approve the timesheets on care portal. Does a participant need to register for the worker to use telephony? Yes, the participant must add their landline number to the authorized number list by calling Lori Knapp Choice. So if that number is not entered, it will not register as the telephony number. That is the replacement for using the mobile app. So it replaces that location data piece. So you'd want to be sure to contact Lori Knapp so that we can get that number entered so you have the location requirement met. What is the toll-free number if a worker cannot use the CareTime app? So that telephony landline number is once again 1-888-574-5109. Do I need to clock in separately for each service provided? Once again, each activity code must be recorded separately, so you would need to clock in and clock out separately for each service provided. What if I provide services outside the home? If you are not at the participant's home at the time of clocking in, you will be prompted to enter a location exception and reason. Once again, that was that alert that you'll receive about the GPS. So you just want to select OK, and then you can choose the location exception and then enter the reason from the drop down as to why you are clocking in away from the residence. So we have some resources here. We have the Lori Knapp Choice website. And then we have our office at 106 South Beaumont Road in Prairie du Chien. And then our phone number, the 608-326-0434. We have a toll-free phone, 844-534-7225. And then you can also email in any questions at info@loriknappchoice.com. Once again, if you have any questions, you can enter those into the Q&A chat. So that should be at either the bottom or the top of your screen. So that is all I have for the webinar today. If you do have any questions, definitely type those into the question and answer chat. Otherwise, this will be posted on the website for you to review anytime. And then also, we have our resources right on the Lori Knapp Choice website, and you can always give us a call for any questions as well. Looks like we have a question that came in. Will time still be rounded to the nearest quarter hour for payroll purposes? So with EVV, if you're approving on the Care Portal website, that is the time that would be used. So care time and Care Portal does not round to the nearest quarter hour. What if my client does not have a landline? So if you don't have access to the mobile app as a worker and you do not have a landline available with your client, I would suggest giving a call to the EVV department so we can go over any other options. So I'm just going to scroll back through the presentation, just see if I can help to bring up any questions that anyone may have. If you do have any questions, just put those in the question and answer chat. And once again, you should see a Q and an A chat either at the top or the lower part of your screen. We have a question that came in. Do we have to keep entering the hours on the old and new website? So if you use Care Portal to approve timesheets, that is the only method that you would need to use. Another question. How do I know if I have more than one service code for doing cares? You would want to discuss this with your participant. You can also call in to our EVV at Lori Knapp and we can look this up for you to verify your services. I will encourage everyone also to take a look at the Lori Knapp website as well under the Care Time and Care Portal resources. This has been recently updated with all new instructions. And we have a question that came in. Are we doing everything with the Care Portal, or do we use Care Time and Care Portal apps? So the worker would need to use the Care Time app to clock in and out to be compliant. The Care Portal website is where the participant would approve those timesheets for payroll. I also want to note if you're registering for the first time for Care Portal and you did not have your email updated with Lori Knapp, we would need that email updated so we can enter it into Care Time, your Care Portal account, so that you can complete that registration. If you do have any questions later on, you can contact the EVV team with Lori Knapp. So once again, you would just contact the 608-326-0434. Just a reminder, you can locate this webinar on the Lori Knapp website, as well as step-by-step instructions. We have updated the Care Time and Care Portal guides. I just want to thank everyone for joining today. And just a reminder, if you do have questions in the future, you can give us a call at 608-326-0434. Visit the website at loriknappchoice.com, and we do have EVV information updated on the website. You can also email at info@loriknappchoice.com. Thank you, and I hope you all have a good day.